Hey guys, Mike here. So, oh boy, what a nice little rug pull at 2 o'clock. And I don't know if you saw it or anything, but I'll show you that it was a complete across the board rug pull. I mean, nothing but a waterfall, right? I believe that was TLC. And, some of the members I were talking, I looked everywhere for news. I didn't see any news at all. We had a bond auction at 1, no problem. But at 2 o'clock, everything went right on over. And personally, I mean, what we talked about yesterday's video, what was the theme? Overstretched, right? When we show the 200 moving average, like this rubber band effect you get. And, we get comfortable. We're seeing green after green after green, and that's great, right? Woohoo, loving it. And of course, what I really believe happened, and let me know what you think in the comments, is you just have algos, right? They kick in, they start to sell off, then people pile on with 0 DTE put options, which obviously confounds things even more, starts pushing it down even more. Then a lot of people start to panic out and say, oh man, let me book these profits because I don't want to lose anymore, because they see their profits going down that they've been building over the last week, 2 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever it's been, and you get what you have today. And don't forget, I did this in a video and I couldn't find it for you guys, but I taught, today's VIX expiration, right? Which means the VIX options expired, a whole bunch. And I even showed you guys like 78% of the time this year, when VIX expiration happens, things go red, right? At least for either the day, tomorrow, the next day. It just happens. Sometimes it's very little, sometimes it's a couple percent. It's not really a major thing, but you see some redness, right? Because what's happening, right? Vol has been suppressed. I show you that gentleman all the time who runs, the VIX, I should say, volatility fund, let me say. And it's kind of funny, what was he saying in that last video? Be long vol over the next couple of weeks. And so that's what I was saying in yesterday's video. I actually bought call options on the VIX, and I don't normally hedge, but I'm looking at it, and I'll show you part of the video I did for the members yesterday, which I guess was pretty timely and stuff. But, you can see right here, guys, I mean, 2 o'clock, boom, across the board. I mean, because so much stuff was green, right? We were looking good. It's like, woohoo, another green day, right? And then, boom, 2 o'clock hits, because you can see we're going up, and then just waterfall after waterfall. And it didn't matter what stock it was, really. I mean, some stocks somewhat held up, which we'll see a couple of those. But for the most part, didn't matter what sector, industry, nada, And let's be real about it. I mean, we're talking about stocks that are up, what, like 150, 200, 300, 400% over the last 6 weeks. I mean, it's about freaking time this happened. And, I don't want to sound like a broken record in videos, but I've been kind of waiting, saying they got to do it sooner or later. And we'll talk about why this is pretty important when you think about it. But again, we'll just scroll through and you can see it. The chart's always the same. And so as I'm saying, this is not a specific piece of news. Again, news is just used to move the market where it wants to move it. In this case, I didn't even see any news out. And so they didn't even try to front this with news or anything. Not that I found. I heard some people talking about tensions with China. I mean, what's new? And again, here's the sectors. Didn't matter whatsoever what was going on there. Now, a video I actually did for the members yesterday was this right here. Now, leading us into the VIX. You can see this is the VIX divided by the VIX 3-month. I always show you little shaded areas. What's this down the very bottom? Can it go farther? Absolutely. But when we look at the VIX itself, you can see it's sitting right there on that support line. It goes back to 2018. Can it drop farther down? Sure can. But if I scroll back even farther, this line goes back way farther than 2018. And so, the big thing to look at is in December. We hadn't had a December, I can't remember the last time, but I just went back like 13, 14 years on this to show you where there's always a pop, right? And so always a pop. And I'm just going to scroll back and show you the one that we're talking about. And of course, we finally get a little bit of a bounce, right? I mean, I'm definitely, I sold some, but I'm definitely holding some just for a bigger bounce. If it don't happen, it don't happen. Because again, this is strong seasonality and things like that. But the biggest thing to talk about is, everybody's talking this Santa rally, and you got to understand this about the Santa rally. And guys, before we continue, please hit that thumbs up button. I really appreciate it when you guys do that for me. It helps people find the video, which a lot of new people have been. And if you like the content, think about subscribing. I appreciate all your support. It really depends on how you're looking at it. One is because Christmas falls on Monday, the 25th, right? So we get a short week next week. And so some people think if there's going to be a Santa rally, and those are some of the bullish days of the year and stuff when it happens, it's either going to begin Friday or Tuesday, depending on how you want to look at it, all right? Because usually it's the last 4 to 5 days, trading days, in December, and then the first couple of days in January if it happens. Some people are saying, look, man, it's already happened, which how can you argue with that? With the move we've had coming from November to coming into today, It's been insane, right? And so maybe it has already happened. Maybe it was just front run this year and it is what it is, and things are going to do their thing. Because this year is kind of weird. I was looking back at the last like December and see when Christmas fell, and sometimes it fell on a weekend, sometimes it fell the week before, so you had a full week of trading and all kinds of stuff. Because again, it's kind of weird. The next week will be what? Lower volume, lower participation, because a lot of people are just going to be with their kids. They're going to be out on vacation. It's the Christmas holidays. So if they want to push it up, they obviously can and stuff. So again, I'm more or less not even really focused on that. I'm really looking more towards January to see what's going to happen. But again, let me know in the comments. Do you think the Saturn rally was already front ran, or do you actually think that you're going to see it next week? So just kind of keep that in mind. So you could see more red tomorrow. This could be just that setup, which I always say, big money loves to buy at lower prices. And so what do? Push it down, dump the market, all the algos kick in, people panic out, all that fun stuff. And so we'll see if we do get a bounce tomorrow or it comes Friday. Now, just looking at, again, we're not going to a bunch of different charts because we got to see if we're going to recover tomorrow, right? But we're really looking at more support areas now, okay? And this is what I was talking about. If you actually, when it comes to like all-time highs, that's when I say you start to get this kind of crazy stuff going on. If you account for dividends, then yes, the S&P has already hit all-time highs. If you don't, which I tend not to, then it has not, okay? So, but again, you get up here and it's like, okay, great. We finally get this sell-off happening and stuff. But when we look at it, this thing could absolutely fall farther, right? Because it's left behind, again, a lot of fair value gaps, a lot of RTH gaps. You got good support around 463 if this thing decides to come down to that level right there and take out and obviously mitigate some fair value gaps and stuff. And I mean, if we're going to have the Santa rally, it would make sense to do this, right, on all the stocks. If you're planning on having another move up over the next week or two, of course you want it to come down. You can't just go straight up. We talked about all the weeks of green, right? The IWM is the one to focus on. I was hoping we were going to hit the 50 fib retracement before, and I figured we'd get a rejection off that, and it was heading up there. But then 2 o'clock hit, bam, away we go. You can see there's an RTH gap right below it. And I think if we kind of zoom out, you can see this is more likely, it wouldn't surprise me a bit to see this actually go ahead and continue some move down tomorrow. I've told you my feelings about it. I really wish that we would end up coming down, hitting that trend line right there before we start to move up, because it would set up a better January, because usually small caps, when you're in a rally like this and they've been beaten down, they usually outperform the SPY and stuff. And so I'd rather see that. But, again, I always say I don't control the market, or at least control, close a couple gaps, something, just to make it a healthier move up. I really don't like the parabolic stuff a lot of times. Now, Tesla, you can see it was doing okay, right? But then, boom, the waterfall happens. It breaks prior day's low, it breaks last Friday's low right there. So some key levels for it. Again, I'm looking down here if it continues at 443.37, because that's where those trend lines intersect. And the trend line I'm talking about is where it bottomed out right there in October. And then the other one goes over, it was the one forming that wedge. Also, what you really have here, as you can see, that's that one coming down, is you have the 100 moving average. I have that pulled up for you. So it's almost near the same level. It's right around 240, 250. But again, you see the support right there. And so there's plenty of support right there between 240, 243. If this continues to fall, if that fails, 236 is your next level. But I can definitely see a bounce there. That's a lot of confluence right there in that area. And again, this could be one of those, hey, we're faking you out to move down, because now you got a big fair value gap above to pull it up for liquidity. So you could see maybe a pull up, fake out, push back down, or a fake out in the morning, hit that main level of support, and then bounce. Again, just depends on what the algos, the market makers want to do. But just to show you what I always talk about with Tesla, Tesla is set to overtake the S&P 500 ETF Trust in 2023 total net inflows. And so this is why everybody loves the options. They love Tesla because of the premium stuff. And so that's how popular of a stock it is. Now, Amazon, we talked about, it broke out. Again, I would actually love to see a retest of this right here. I continue to sell off in tomorrow, and then get the bounce from there to start heading up. But that's going to be a key level at 150.95 right there. So watch that level, see if it happens. And then moving on to AMD, it's been consolidating around that 140. And that's all it's been doing until we finally got that little sell-off today. And if it continues, you're going to look right there in that area between like 125, 131, somewhere there for support. And that'll be a really good flip, really, of resistance into support. That'd be nice. Because when you look at it, once it breaks 140, that's going to be the case, which a lot of people think it will in the first month or two there. 147, 73 is going to be a good resistance level on the next one before we start heading to all-time highs. Now, when it comes to earnings, you're going to have Carnival. I'm assuming that's Carnival Cruise Lines. I could be wrong. Cintas, CarMax, Paycheck, and then Nike people watch for because General Mills had a horrible earnings. Micron beat on earnings, which is good. FedEx dumped like 11% today because they had terrible earnings too. And so we'll see how Micron performs tomorrow if it pulls up the semiconductors. Now, when it comes to economic data, there'll be a whole lot on here about PCE, GDP growth, initial jobless claims, continuous jobless claims. A lot of manufacturing data has come out of Philadelphia right there, as you can see. I believe we'll also have real consumer spending, and then we're going to end up with the Kansas Fed Composite Index, manufacturing data as well. And I don't see any more auctions on there that should affect anything. And so again, we'll see if they want to push us down a little bit farther. You know, again, some people are going to say it's going to be the end of the world, but I mean, guys, again, let's keep this in perspective. Just pull up your charts. How many green candles versus how many red candles? This is the way it works, right? And so I've been expecting this 3 days ago. So, you know, I was wrong the whole way coming up this week. I thought for sure this week we were going to finally get something going on, but here it is, expiration. Hey, let it happen. Again, we'll see if we get a little more weakness into tomorrow. And then if we're going to get the Santa Claus rally or just trade sideways or down or whatever it is they want to do. So I don't worry about trying to control the market. I know what I'd like to see happen because I hate when we get like super overstretched, right? I know money's flowing in, but because the snapback tends to be extremely violent. So, you know, and it can wipe out a lot of gains very quickly, which a lot of people found out today when they looked at their accounts and stuff. So anyway, hope you guys got some out of it. Let me know what you think the market's going to be doing tomorrow and Friday, and if we're going to get a Santa rally or not. So please hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a good one.